I now call to order this meeting of the Brevard County Board of Zoning Adjustment for the date of July 24th, 2024. Are there any staff announcements of any kind?
Mr. Chair, item G6, if you could read that into the record, that needs to be continued to the next meeting for an advertisement issue.
We need to make a motion for that.
Yeah, so what I would suggest that you do is just take that in front, move that to the front of the agenda, and then you can make your motion to continue.
Okay, thank you.
But you don't have to, so you just continue it, it'll have to be re-advertised, so you don't have to do a date certain.
No date certain?
No date certain.
Okay. Okay, our next item is the reading of the function of the board by Mr. Bodie.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body established by the Board of County Commissioners under Chapter 62, Article 2, Division 4 of the Brevard County Code. The Board of Adjustment is empowered to hear requests for variances to the zoning regulation and the sign regulation in Chapter 62, Article 6, and Article 9. Pursuant to the Florida Rules of Appellate Procedure, any person or persons jointly or severally aggrieved by any decision of the Board of Adjustment may, within 30 days after the date the order is signed, apply to a court of competent jurisdiction for appropriate relief. Mr. Chairman, you have 6 items on your agenda today.
Thank you, Mr. Bodie. Our next item is the reading of the definition of an undue hardship by our Vice Chair, Sonia Millard.
An undue hardship. A variance may be granted when it will not be contrary to the public interest and where, owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter will result in unnecessary and undue hardship. The term undue hardship has a specific legal definition in this context and essentially means that without the request variance, the applicant will have no reasonable use of the subject property under existing development regulations. Personal medical reasons shall not be considered as grounds for establishing undue hardship sufficient to qualify an applicant for a variance. Economic reasons may be considered only in instances where the landowner cannot yield a reasonable use and/or a reasonable return under the existing land development regulations. The applicant must answer a variance hardship worksheet with 6 questions. The Board of Adjustments will discuss these questions today with each applicant who has requested a variance.
Thank you, Ms. Millard. I'd like to address our board members, the applicants, and our audience regarding the board procedures for today's meeting. The Board of Zoning Adjustment, as a quasi-judicial board with members appointed by the Brevard County Board of Commissioners, will utilize Robert's Rules of Order to conduct its proceedings. The chair is asking all board members not to ask questions while the applicants are making their presentations. Once the applicants have completed their presentation, we will begin board questioning with a board member who represents the applicant's district. When concluded, questioning is open to the full board. The chair will recognize each board member in turn. Once all board members have completed their questioning, we will then open the floor to the audience who may be here to speak concerning the applicant's application. Once anyone from the audience wishing to speak will be given the opportunity to address the board once and only once, so be concise and complete. At the conclusion of public comment, the applicant will be given additional time for any rebuttal, as well as to present their final arguments. Once completed, no further discussion or comments will be heard from the applicant or the public. All action moves to this side of the bar. The action then moves to the board for discussion and action. We will not use a timer for this meeting. Instead, we are asking each speaker to be concise in what they have to say. It is important that you stay on subject and avoid information that is not relevant. All persons speaking must provide their name and address for the public record. Those wishing not to verbally state their address may ask the clerk at the podium for an address card. Please fill it out and return to the clerk. Are there any questions from the board about these procedures?
No.
Are there any questions from the applicants about these procedures? Are there any questions from the audience members about these procedures? Seeing none and hearing none, we will move on to our next item, which is the approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Everyone has gotten a copy of the minutes, all the board members? I need a motion to approve from anyone.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Ms. Millard has made a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Dr. Bass has made a motion to, or has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the meeting minutes are approved. Next, as staff requested, we'd like to move to the last application, which is not going to be heard today. I need a motion to continue.
Yeah, let's read it in real quick.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, item G6, Boggs Family, December 17th, 2019 trust. Request variance for an accessory structure in an RU-1-11, single-family residential zoning classification. This is application 24V00025, located at tax account 2300362 in District 1.
Okay. The motion needs to be to continue it without a date.
Yes, so I would make the motion to continue this application so it can be re-advertised.
Okay. I can't make the motion. I need someone else to repeat that.
I'd like to make a motion to move G6 to continue this application to be advertised,
I'll second.
re-advertised.
I'll
Okay,
second.
okay. Ms. Millard has made a motion to continue this application. Mr. Holmberg has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the application is continued to the next meeting. All the housekeeping things are out of the way now. We can move on. Could we have our first real applicant, please?
Yes, item G1, Daniel Nastyn, request variance to permit an accessory structure, pool screen enclosure to be located forward of the front building line of the principal structure in an SEU, Suburban Estate Use. Zoning classification, application is 24V00018, located at tax account number 2202666 in District 1.
Okay. I need to swear you in. So first, your name and address for the record.
Daniel Nastyn, 1220 South Carpenter Road, Titusville, Florida, 32796, owner and resident.
Do you swear that the testimony you're giving us today is the truth?
Yes.
Very good. Please, how can we help you?
Okay, so try to make this quick. 2 years ago, I contracted Pinnacle Pools to put a pool and screen enclosure on my property. A year and a half ago, I had to come to this board to get a variance for the pool to be put by what the county calls the front of my house, because my house sits on a 45. Portion of it sits forward of that corner. The board approved it. A year and a half later, they're finally finished with my pool. They put the screen enclosure up. I filled out all my paperwork. I can't get a final for the screen enclosure. I keep calling the screen company, and they said, oh, they finally got with George Ritchie, responded to them saying, oh, the variance is for the pool, not for the screen enclosure. So they weren't going to help me, so I came in and talked with George, filled out the paperwork, got a new survey and everything, but the screen enclosure is already up. I have pictures of what it looks like. I don't know if that's an interest to the board. So just trying to clean up the mess that these contractors have made for me.
Very good. District 1, Mr. Millard?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And can you do me a favor, just speak into the mic? I'm
Oh.
just having trouble hearing you.
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize.
Want me to
It
repeat what
might
I
be
said?
me. No,
Okay.
I heard you. I
Okay.
heard you.
I'm sorry.
And I just want to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I visited your home on Monday, and I was able to see the principal structure. So I want to be clear that this is something, or I saw that it was already up, and it's already done,
Right.
and it's already also enclosed with another
Yes, I have a
fence around
permit.
it.
I got a permit for the fence just
Okay.
recently and put the fence up.
Okay.
None of it has been final inspected because I needed to come here. Want to get it all finished at the same time, hopefully, provided I get the board's approval.
Okay, but today, we're just here for that structure of the closing
Of the, yes.
screen, correct?
The variance is just for
For
the
the-
screen
okay.
enclosure.
Okay, great. So I did come to your home, I saw it, everything looks nice. What I'm glad about that I found that it's not blocking the view of your neighbors or anything
Right.
like that. I just wanted to ask you, your neighbors were okay on both sides of
Yes.
your,
Yes, and I
Property.
guess they were notified
yes, they
by the
were.
county, and they're good friends, we're good acquaintances, good neighbors, and they have
Yes.
no problems with it.
Yeah, I'm aware of that neighborhood and everything looks nice. It looks good, everything was up and operational. I have no other questions for you.
Okay.
Any other board member have questions?
No.
Okay. Procedurally, I just need you to step aside so I can ask. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against this application? Seeing none? Any final before we go?
Like I said, just trying to clean up contractor's mess, and that's it. Just hope we can get this done.
All right, thank you again.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So, Ms. Millard, this is in your district. You have the first option of making a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance as depicted on the survey, provided by the applicant with a survey date of 10/15/2019.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Millard. We have a second by Dr. Bass. Any further board discussion?
None.
All right, in that case, part of my procedure is to read the 6 hardship questions into the record. So, the special conditions and circumstances exist which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the applicable zoning classification, that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, that granting the variance requested did not confer or will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the provisions of this chapter to other lands, buildings, or structures in the identical zoning classification. The literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by the other properties in the identical zoning classification under the provisions of this chapter, and will constitute unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant, that the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter, and that such use variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. I now call the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The application passes. Mr. Bodie, could we have our second applicant, please?
Yes, item G2, Britton and Kristy Sutherland request variance for a barn in an AU agricultural residential zoning classification. The application number is 24V00019. This is located at tax account number 2403742 in District 1.
Okay. I need to swear you in. Name and address for the record?
Britton Sutherland, 4901 Avocado Ave, Cocoa, Florida.
Okay. Do you swear that the evidence you're going to give us today is the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. How can we help you?
I had a pole barn installed about 1.5 years ago, and obviously, I guess the setbacks for the pole barn were supposed to be 50 foot back and side. I believe we're at 41 and a half and 43 and a half. Pole barn's up. It's been up for about a year and a half. Got with all my neighbors, had them write letters, stating that it wasn't a nuisance to them, not bothering them or anything, and just asking that it can stay where it's at.
Okay. Your application arises in District 1, which again is Ms. Millard.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I want to just understand a little bit more exactly what we're doing. It's already up, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Your neighbors have already agreed that it's not invading or impeding upon their property or their views, correct?
Yes, ma'am. When I filed it, I've got letters from all the adjoining neighbors and even across the main road.
For the record, we have those letters in the packet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have no other questions for him.
Okay. Are there any questions from any other board members?
Yeah, I just have a couple. Hi, morning, afternoon,
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Does your barn have any utilities in it, or is it just a pole barn?
It's an open-air pole barn.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's all I have.
It's got
Thanks.
tractors and trailers.
Okay, procedurally, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against this application? Seeing none, any final concluding words?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. All right, starting out, we need a motion to approve or disapprove this application.
I make a motion to approve the variance as depicted on the survey provided by the applicant with the survey date of 9/25/2023.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Mr. Holmberg. Any discussion?
No discussion.
Well, this is going to be easy then. We have a motion to approve, no further discussion, and now I have to read in the 6 hardship questions into the record. And so, that special conditions and circumstances exist which are not applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the applicable zoning classification. That the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. That granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the provisions of this chapter to other lands, buildings, or structures in the identical zoning classification. That literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the identical zoning classification under the provisions of this chapter, and will constitute unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant. That the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of land, building, or structure. That the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Having read in those questions, I will call the vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the application, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to approve the application passes. Mr. Bodie, may we have our next applicant, please?
Yes, variance item G3, Mahasu Associates LLC, request variance for required lot width in an RU-1-9 single-family residential zoning classification. Application is 24V00022 and is located at tax account number 2419409 in District 2.
Mr. Chair, before we turn it over, I just want to clarify that this property is undergoing a rezoning request to RU-19, and with that, there's a variance that is needed, and that's what you're hearing today. So the variance is related to the lot width requirement for RU-19, not the current zoning of the property of AU.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. This application arises in District 2. Our representative for District 2 is not here today. I don't believe. Yes. So that arises to me. Would the applicant please come forward? Could you state your name and address for the record?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. My name is Sam Sebaali. I'm with Florida Engineering Group. My address is 5127 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida.
Okay. Hang on. Do you swear the testimony you're going to give us today is the truth?
I do.
Okay, just one more. Authorized representative?
Yes, he's correct.
Okay. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The application package provided justification for the 6 items related to this variance request, but in summary, really, the portion which we are requesting a variance for provides access to the main parcel. The main parcel is zoned RU19. And this parcel was intended to provide access. It's 50 foot wide, which is sufficient for access under your regulations. However, this portion is not zoned RU19. So in order to be able to develop the parcel, which is zoned RU19, we have to rezone this access way to the same zoning, which creates the need for a variance because your RU19 requires minimum of 66 feet lot width. The intent of this rezone is not really to put any residential buildings or develop that parcel for any building use. So really, the 66-foot does not apply for it since it is just for access purposes and it's not to put a structure on it. But so we have to rezone it in order to be able to make it. And I have, and I don't know if I can use, yeah, you have.
We have I don't
Okay.
mean to cut you off.
No, I just want to make
We
sure,
have a
I
lot
didn't
of
know what
listening.
information you have looked at, just it's a little bit difficult without something to show, but if you have it, you probably understand what the situation we're facing.
We have the entire packet, so it has
So,
the maps and things
I
like that.
appreciate that. So if you have any questions for me, I will be glad to address them.
Well, our commissioner, or our board member for District 2 is not here, so as chair, I'll take up his role. My only question is that, if this is oriented, so this is going to be a road access to the larger parcel that it connects to the south is where you're going to do the real
That is
development.
correct. It's all under single ownership, and actually it's all one tax parcel. It just has a split zoning.
Okay.
Yes.
And what you're doing there is simply utilities and roadway type
With-
access to that rear
With-
property.
Within that parcel, the 50-foot, yes, sir.
Okay? Sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Does any other board member have questions for this applicant?
No.
Okay. Procedurally, could you step aside so I could ask for, no, just, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against this application? I see 2 different groups. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you go first. You go first. Are you speaking in favor or against this application? Gotta pick
I'm just
one.
trying to get some information, sir, because it's going to really affect me.
Can
All
you
right.
speak more into the microphone so we could hear you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry? You can. Are you together?
Yes, he's my,
Yeah, well, come on up.
he's my son.
Mr. Chair, if I may, we can, if these young folks want to wait until the end of the meeting, we can talk to them what this application is, what they're requesting, but other than that,
So the question is, are you looking for information or are you giving us information for or against the application?
Against it.
Both,
You-
both.
We're against it.
You kind of have to pick one or the other.
Against.
Okay. Are you presenting information or you're seeking
We do have
information?
information. We can give you pictures. We're concerned about several things.
Okay.
We need to do our
Well,
name and
could you
address and all
Speak
that.
into the microphone whenever
First
you're
off-
speaking.
Name and address for the record, please.
Peggy Townsend, 1045 Beavis Road, Merritt Island, Florida.
Okay. Are you going to speak as well?
Yes, sir.
So,
1435 Torres Court, Merritt Island, Florida, 32953.
name?
Chip Townsend, Dale Townsend.
Okay. I'll do this jointly together. Do you both swear that the testimony you're giving us today is the truth?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, one or the other, begin.
Well, the variance that he's requesting, my home is next door to it. And I've lived there like 3 years. Sorry. And I moved here to be close to my son and his family. And when I was building the home, it was going to be like 5 foot from the property line. But then engineers said that I needed to move it, so I didn't move the home, but we moved the spot 7.7 feet. And so now my home is like a little over 12 feet from
This
where-
road.
From this road, and my bedroom is on that side, and I live alone with my dog.
Okay.
And also, we have an issue, as if we brought pictures and stuff, that has a really bad, reason we had to move the house is there's a real big slant, because
Speak into the microphone,
his
please.
property is basically a ditch, and it used to be a lake at one time, and they used to have water in there and fish and everything else, and because it's part of Port St. John's, what do they call it?
St. John's River Water Management.
Yeah,
District.
water management, it's really low. We had some issues too with it, but our house was far enough away from it that it didn't affect us, because our property has some of that in her property. And basically, we ended up shifting the house over, because she was trying to get away from the road. We pushed the house back as far as about 10, 15 more feet to get away from the front road. Then we have a side road on the side of the property, and we shoved it all this way. Then the city said we can't be that close, or we have to do some type of retaining wall because of this. It goes down so fast. The slope is too high. So we were able to push the house to the maximum side of the other side of the property, which gave it more of it's still slanted, but it's a little bit more distance. And basically, if they put a road there, they're going to build that up as high as the street. She's going to basically have a ditch there, or some type of drainage thing. We're really concerned about flooding now. If they build this property up, and basically, she's going to be having a huge canal on the side of her house that's only inches away from her house. We're worried about water.
Never had.
And noise, too, because now she'll probably have a couple hundred cars driving right next to her bedroom every day and night.
Okay.
That was another concern we were having. So we wanted to see what they were going to do about redoing that land for water drainage, because we really don't want a canal a foot from my mother's house, because that's basically what's going to happen if they build that property up for the road. And
Okay.
so we wanted to see what engineering drawings he had and what they're planning on doing for development of that.
Okay.
And also some noise reduction too, because it's going to be really loud.
So if I may summarize, you're against the application because you don't know exactly what's going on with that property.
Yeah, we just don't want our house
Okay.
to flood or, having God amount of noise.
Understand,
Yes,
you
sir.
have concerns.
Yes, sir. We have
Okay.
concerns.
Okay. Do any of the board members have questions for this witness?
No.
Okay. No. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to speak, ma'am? Name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Linnell Johnson, 17 Zinc Place, Palm Coast, Florida, 32164.
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you're giving us today is the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you speaking for or against the application?
Currently against, because I'm just like them.
Okay. So, go ahead.
Yeah, the property I'm thinking is 1042 Beavis. Is it 1042?
There's no address assigned to it.
Oh, okay. So is it on Tropical Trail? Because I have two. I didn't even look up the text.
I can't tell from
Account.
these maps.
Is it off of Beavis Road? It is, right? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, I plan on building on that property later. I do have 3 adult children, and I'm just here to speak against because, again, we don't know what it's gonna do for the future plans of building, so,
Okay.
okay.
So in summary, again, you're against it because you don't know what they're going to do with the property.
Right, exactly. And how it's going to affect the future plans of a possible home there.
Okay. Just for clarification, I believe that they said there would be no homes. It's mostly road
The
and
road,
access.
okay.
Yeah.
So the road, I don't know how the road is going to affect the future home there.
Fine, but no structures that I know of.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Do any of the board members have questions for this?
I have one question. Where are you presently located in
I'm
this
in Palm
area?
Coast. I
You're in Palm
currently live
Coast.
in Palm Coast. Mhm.
So how is this a road
The
affecting you?
property is, was my father's
Your
property.
father's.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you have property within their property? Is that what you're saying?
The property was my father's property, so I pay the taxes on that property. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying. Your property is right near his property. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
my property, yeah, my property's on Beavis.
On
So
Beavis.
it will, yes,
Okay.
it will affect, the road will affect the Beavis property that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak for or against this application? Okay, seeing no others, please return. And you have opportunity to rebut or add.
Sure,
Data.
I'll try to clarify what we are proposing. I understand the concerns. I'm not sure where their properties are relative to this property, but there is only one house to the east. There isn't anything on the west side. So I'm not sure how they're impacted, but the roadway which would be built is not going to occupy the 50 feet. The roadway is 22 feet, so obviously you will have about 14 feet of distance between the roadway and the property boundary. And we will be doing appropriate grading. Any drainage from that roadway will be going to on-site drainage system. And as far as the concerns related to the ditch or these kinds of issues, we have done environmental study for the property and delineated wetlands, and we are working within the county's code, as far as any impacts to the wetlands, which we are trying to avoid. And we don't, believe we will have any drainage impacts. We'll be meeting all regulatory requirements. We do have conceptual plans, which we shared with your staff. Unfortunately, we cannot go to the next step till we do this first step, which is to be able to rezone this property so we are consistent zoning for the overall parcel, which requires the need for the variance. But I'll be glad to get into a lot of details, but that's where we're at. Thank you.
Well, no, I still have a question. I know that was your
Sure.
concluding, but you brought up something that I still want to question. You say you have feasibility plans for what you're doing with that parcel?
We do. We
Okay.
have a preliminary plan.
And is it in this packet? It's not in this
No.
packet? Okay. Is this something you'd be willing to share?
Sure.
Through staff with the objectives?
I'll be glad to share it. It's going to be a single-family residential development on the main parcel. This access way would not have any structures on it,
We're only addressing the
Right.
access parcel.
but the main parcel will be a single-family residential development, and it will be consistent with the zoning standards for that parcel, which is the RU19.
Okay.
And, we'll have all the drainage improvements. And there are a couple of ditches, one on the south side, one on the west side. And those, we're respecting those. There is no easement on them now. As part of our plan would be to provide proper easements to the county. And
Are you proposing any sight or sound screening along the sides?
we can, relative, we're going to meet all the buffer requirements on the Bevis side, I guess that's the name of the road. On the Bevis Road side, we're going to have mostly a retention pond. That would be on the north side. We do have one single family where we would be adjacent, but that would also have buffers and setbacks. As far as the roadway coming in, if there is a concern, to the extent we can, because it's only 50 feet, we can either do a hedge or some kind of, buffer in there to help with noise attenuation. that's something we can work with staff on.
Okay. Probably getting too far into the design as opposed to zoning, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other
No,
questions?
thank you.
Thank
I
you,
have
sir.
a question.
Oh, we do
I
have a question. And
So
we
I
have a
just want to
question.
really understand it, so I have
Sure.
to be very clear. So we know now why you building it. We know it's a single-family residential development, but we're here for the access road. So that access road that you're building is primarily for the use of the future home, correct?
That is
Not
correct.
for tourists and all of that?
No, that was intended for access. Unfortunately, it's split zoning, so that access road is not properly zoned. We have to rezone it to match the main parcel zoning, and when we rezone it, it triggers the need for a variance because the minimum lot width for RU19 is 66 feet, and it's only 50 feet. But it is adequate for access because your minimum right-of-way width is 50 feet, and that's what we have.
Right, so my question would be, for the first person who was against it, because she's living alone, her bedroom is 12 feet from the property, we can almost be assured that it's not so much for people in the neighborhood to come through, it's just for that person that's gonna be in that house to come through to access that road, correct?
Right. The residential on the south side will be driving through there, but the roadway is not going to be adjacent to the property boundary. There'll be about 12 feet between the roadway and the property boundary. There'll likely be a sidewalk, but to the extent we can, if staff want us to plant a hedge or whatever to add for a sound or noise barrier, we'll be glad to do that. Yes.
Okay, and I think the other concern that I heard was about what was gonna be in that area and what was gonna affect their property, but it sounded like it's just a residential home coming up with the access road to,
It would be more than a residential home. It would be a residential community on the main parcel in the back.
Community.
But
Oh,
honestly,
it's a
I think
community.
it's an improvement for the community because really it would help, there are some scattered homes and some of them are older homes. I think there is one new home in that area. It would be new residential homes on the parcel to the back.
okay, so for the sake of this variance, we're just concerned about the access road.
Yeah.
The future would be for the other homes, so I wanna bring that back in, that we know we're just here for this access road.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for
We'll
the
have to come before
clarification.
the county when we do the development, and there will be an opportunity for
Okay.
any concerns to be addressed at that time.
That was good, thank you for clarifying.
Dr.
Chair?
Bass?
Yes, I wanted to know if you can answer this. In your plan, how many planned home units do you plan to build on this road?
There will be about
traffic.
22 homes. That's what we anticipate to have. The property itself is about 7.5 acres in the back, so there'll be 22 homes on it. So it's
And that access is, as we said, it's going to go by properties that are now lived in, which you said.
that is correct.
So we'd
yes.
have 22 homes with their traffic.
Right, but it's not unlike, somebody living in that community. Any community you have, like, in my neighborhood, we have over 100 homes and people drive by. So it sounds like daunting, but any community, you have communities with 200 or 300 homes. 22 homes is not a lot of traffic. I live in a community and we have maybe 50, 60 homes around me. People drive by and it's just like one car every whatever. So it's really not. But in terms of the concerns, we will not ignore them, but it's really not a big, it sounds like 22 homes, but one is 3 homes per acre, which is not a lot. And
Right.
it will meet all the zoning requirements for the parcel.
Right, yeah, you're right. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're used to living out in your area with wilderness and your home, and then 12 feet, it gets kind of scary when all of a sudden a developer's coming to build up these big things. So I can understand the apprehension,
I
So
understand
yes,
that
we don't want
too.
to dismiss
Yes, ma'am.
that as well.
No,
Okay,
I'm
thank
not.
you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. This arises in District 2, and I took took the lead on the discussion. However, as chair, I can't make a motion, so I need someone to make a motion to approve or disapprove this application.
I'd like to make a motion to just hold it in abeyance for another time so we can gather some more information, give everybody the opportunity, possibly 2 months or 90 days.
What you're making a motion for is to table the application?
Yeah, in abeyance for at least 90 days.
Do we have a second on that
I'll
motion?
second that.
Okay, we have a motion to table this application. It needs to be to a date specific. So 2 months from now?
90 days,
3 months from now?
3 months.
What date would that be, do we know?
So, give or take, the 90-day window would bring it back October 16th, Board of Adjustment meeting.
If I may, at that time, possibly we could leave enough time to see everybody's,
So, just so.
I'd like your advice on this. one.
So just so we're clear, the motion on the floor is to continue this application to October 16th, and what is your request for the applicant? What would you like to see when they come back on October?
I think that's directed at you, Mr. Holman. What are we,
I would like to see the information everybody has on why they have a problem with the variance, what it's going to do, how it's going to affect your everyday life, how it'll affect your nighttime life, how it affects life in general. Pictures, photographs, any, but concrete evidence, not just word of mouth.
So,
no.
So, and I just want, I'm trying to understand, for our edification as well as the applicant, what you're asking for. So if I can surmise that, what you're looking for is the applicant to meet with the residents to address their concerns and to provide us with a plan that shows the proposed access.
Yes, everybody, the same thing that's here today, but with more information.
Okay, well, I don't know what information that you're looking for outside of providing a plan and for the applicant to discuss their plans with them.
If I may, I think you well stated it. I think you had a good statement there that you were talking about in the description.
So in the discussion before, you were talking about the economic study. Is that part of what you want to see?
No, you
next?
already stated it, I thought, quite well to bring
Okay,
in some more
so the motion that you're considering is to continue this application October 16th with the applicant to provide the access access plan and for him to meet with the adjacent residents out there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is that within our authority? To direct them to meet, things like that?
I don't see why not. Becky, you can chime in.
Yes, you can make
Okay.
make those requests so
Make a
that you have
condition
proper
of it.
information to make an informed decision.
Okay. Okay. I know you made the motion. I'll try and reiterate it just for the record.
No.
Do you want me to say
Yes,
it
would you
again?
please?
Please.
So the motion on the floor, as I understand it, would be to table this application to the October 16, 2024 Board of Adjustment meeting, and for the applicant to provide the access plan to show the access to Beavis Road to the part of the property to the south, and for him to have a community meeting with the residents to address their concerns.
Yes.
Yes.
Can we consider that being reading in the motion?
Oh, wait, he's saying no.
Yes.
Oh, you have an objection to that?
Yeah, it's a very big one.
Okay.
If
guess
I
we have
have an option of putting a vote in for yes or no, I would rather see the information here presented to us, not in a community spirit. I mean, they can have all the meetings they want, but we have to make the final decision, so somebody needs to come to the podium and give us the information.
So when we have when the applicant has a meeting, then they will come back and report back from what was transcribed. So you'll hear from the applicant and any of the adjacent residents and you can get both sides of what was discussed. so that way you are well informed of what took place during that meeting.
No, but I'll leave it go.
Okay.
You want them to come here the first time, or you want them to
Yeah, I
meet
would
and
like to,
discuss it?
before the meeting, yeah.
Before they discuss it between
That's right.
themselves, you want them to bring it here?
Yes.
All right. We've gone round and round. I'm going to
Yes, I
ask you,
mean-
no, I'm going to ask you to restate the motion as you see it.
All right, I'd like to see the motion held in abeyance for a period of 90 days. So everybody, including the gentleman that put in for the variance, that everybody can get their paperwork together, the reasons why, be it economic or personal, and they can come here and put everything forth in a spirit of making a decision on that particular day. The community, that's up to them. It has no bearing on me making a decision. I just want to hear from everybody why they have a problem with this gentleman's road and why this group does. Photographs, whatever, whatever be it.
Do you have an objection of them meeting informally to work out details before they present it to
That
us?
doesn't come into my area of expertise.
I'm just asking.
No, I mean, that's up to them, whatever they want to do.
Okay, as chair, I can't make a motion, but we need a concise
I mean, this is,
motion that we're voting on here.
I think this is pretty clear, what I'm requesting, a motion in 90 days to hold this in abeyance and have people come back with more meat. I think all of us are a little confused what's going on here now.
Right.
It would certainly be better to see more information. And I don't see any reason why that can't happen in 90 days. I don't believe it's causing any economic downfall to anybody or anything, other than helping us make a decision for the community. I mean, we want everybody to be happy. You want to see new homes, you want to see everybody happy. So right now, I can't make that decision because I don't have any information.
Okay, what I'm looking for is the motion to table this for 90 days and have the applicant and any, what do they call them?
Negative.
Any interested parties to come back and make their revised or renewed application at that time. Does that sound? Sir?
I thought you had a good summary.
Steve, did that sound about right? Or it's still, I need
Well,
a motion to table the,
You know, possibly we could be more clear. I mean, if everybody wants clarity here, we could certainly tell these people today what we would need to see. I mean, I personally would care for pictures, an economic assessment, or a reason why you do not want this road, or a reason why the road is causing you problems, or what can be done. I heard irrigation, drainage. Sure, that's an interesting topic right there. I haven't seen anything that's of that type of value where we could say it's a French drain, it's a big drain, it's a crooked drain, it's a square drain. I mean, we would need a lot of plans. This is a big effort, a big impact on people's lives, and I'm sure there's more than this group of people that are involved. I think it's a fair thing to have them come back in 90 days.
so we have a motion on the floor to table this application for 90 days till the October
16th.
16th, wherein we expect to see more detailed presentation of what the project involves before
There
we
you
can
go.
make a zoning decision.
Good adjective.
Okay, do I have a second for Mr. Holmberg's motion that I just stated?
I'll second that.
Okay, Dr. Bass has seconded the motion. And any discussion on that motion?
No discussion.
All right.
It's too complicated.
I won't read in the hardship questions because this is a motion to table. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, this application is tabled until the October, whatever.
16th.
16th meeting. Mr. Bodie, may we have the next application, please?
Yes, item G4, Adriana Maddox requests variance for a principal structure in an TR-1 single-family mobile home zoning classification. The application number is 24V00023 and located at text account number 3010688 in District 3.
Okay. This application arises in District 3. Would the applicants please come forward? And I remind you to speak into the microphone when you're at the podium. So, name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Adriana Maddox, 383 16th Street, in Mico, Florida, 32976.
Okay. And you're also speaking?
My name is David Larkin with the law firm of Fallis and Larkin at 1900 Hickory Street, Melbourne, Florida. And I'm here to assist Ms. Maddox in the application process and to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay. Just, Ms. Maddox, I'd like to swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you're giving us today is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. As I know as a lawyer and a member of the bar, but would you mind just
That's
for
fine.
consistency, do you swear that the testimony you're giving us today is the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
If it'll let me. Briefly, the application is due to an error or mistake by the contractor. Ms. Maddox and her now deceased husband lived in a mobile home in Melbourne Beach. He passed away. You may remember Todd Maddox. He ran for sheriff a couple years ago. She was moving the mobile home to their lot in Mico and hired a contractor to provide the services to move the mobile home. The contractor put the mobile home in the wrong location. Prime example. It wasn't discovered until after she had all the power connected, all the utilities connected, installed a deck, installed a paver driveway, and applied with an as-built survey to the county to have an occupational certificate of occupancy issued, that they realized that there was a setback issue. We're trying to address the issues with the contractor, but currently Ms. Maddox cannot obtain a certificate of occupancy, use the property for any purpose, and will incur substantial hardship economically at least, and to have to disconnect everything and move the trailer basically 4.2 feet, I think it is, if you're facing the trailer, to the right. The neighbor who is on the right side if you're facing the trailer, on the left side if you're facing away from the trailer, was there when the trailer was placed. He doesn't have any objection to this, to my knowledge. I don't know that anybody has an objection to this. The property on the other side is undeveloped at this time, and basically what we're just seeking is a variance to not have to move the trailer, incur the economic hardship to move the trailer, disconnect everything, disconnect the decking that was put in at the main entranceway. And Ms. Maddox can answer any questions you have about how this whole process transpired. But this has been ongoing since about February, I think, once they applied for the certificate of occupancy for the property. And we're dealing with the contractor on it, and this goes a long way in terms of resolving a substantial issue in terms of her inability to use the property. And if you can answer any questions that they may have.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Your application arises in District 3, which is Mr. Humbert. Am I on the right one? Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
I live very close, and I rode past the other day, and my belief is if they put your manufactured home where it was supposed to, it wouldn't look as nice. It looks very nice. I think I'd leave it just where it is, and I have no problem with it at all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do any other board members have questions?
No. No questions.
Just a quick one from me. You say the one occupied property, to the best of your knowledge, they do not object?
No, yes. What is his name?
We have my neighbors, they're here. And yes, they don't object.
Okay.
I wasn't aware that was her neighbor, sorry.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I'm going to ask for something in a minute here. Then we'll. That's all my question.
All right. Thank you. We'll just sit over here.
You should just step aside. Would you like to come up and speak in support of the application? I don't got to go through the whole procedure, so name and address for the record.
My name is Richard McCallum. I live at 3825 16th Street, Micco, Florida, 32976.
Okay, and
On
I'll
the next-
swear you in. Do you promise to tell us the truth today?
Yes, sir, I do.
For or against?
I'm for.
For,
I'm
yes.
for it, yes.
Yes, okay. My question to you, even before you start, is sometimes we get a written letter or something in the packet that says that the neighbors do not object. I'm asking you verbally, you don't object to this application?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other? No, good.
I don't think we have anything else to say. We appreciate the board's time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this application arises in Mr. Holmberg's district, so you have the floor for motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Adriana Maddox request for a variance on 3833 16th Street in Micco, Florida.
I'm sorry, were you trying to get our attention for something? Oh, okay, thank you. Do we have a second to the motion to
I
approve?
second.
Okay,
How about making it as approved on the survey, as depicted on the survey,
could
the
you,
motion?
could you repeat the motion then?
As depicted on the survey?
Yes, your motion as depicted on the survey, you approve.
I'd like to make a motion as depicted on the survey to approve the request for a variance for 3833 16th Street, Micco, Florida.
Yes.
Close?
Okay, do we have a
Close.
second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Holmberg has made a motion to approve.
Two,
It has
actually.
been seconded by Ms. Millard. Do we have any discussion? Okay. We had people from the audience speak in favor. We have a motion to approve on the floor, no board discussion, so I will read the 6 hardship questions when I find them. There they are. That special conditions and circumstances exist which are not applicable to the other lands, structures, or buildings in the applicable zoning classification. That the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. That granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the provisions of this chapter to other lands, buildings, or structures in the identical zoning classification. The literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the identical zoning classification under the provisions of this chapter and will constitute unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant. That the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure. That the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter, and that such use variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Having read in the 6 hardship questions, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to approve the application passes. Mr. Bodie, may we have the next applicant, please?
Yes, variance item G5, Plamosa Investment Partners LLC, request variance for a freestanding sign in a BU-2 retail warehousing and wholesale commercial zoning classification. Application is 24V00024, located at tax count number 3035472 in District 2.
Our board member for District 2 is not here today, so as chair, I will pick up that duty. Would you please come up to the podium, please? Speak into the microphone, your name and address, please.
Sure. I'm Mark Hudgens, 1490 Highway A1A, Satellite Beach, Florida. I am an authorized representative for Plamosa Investment Partners, and that's on file with Mr. Bodie as well. So we appreciate the board's time. Oh, I'm sorry.
Need to swear. Do you swear that the testimony you'll give us today is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
So we came before the board a year and a half, 2 years ago with several sign variances along this new project. It's the Wawa and Chipotle and El Car Wash that's under construction there in Merritt Island. So we came in front of the board for several sign variances. There were some old sign variances that were there from the 1960s and 70s, and we did a redevelopment of the old Erdman Motors Cadillac dealership there, a portion of that property, to put in the new retailers there along the frontage, and we had those variances approved. And I recognize some faces, but not, I think there's some new faces on the board since that meeting. But regardless, we had a construction conflict in front of the Chipotle. There was a utility guy wire there for a pole that was not shown on our survey. So we had to relocate the monument sign for Chipotle. And that last little tidbit on the last motion as depicted on the survey is what is causing me to come back today, because the new sign location is the same distance from the road, so we're not going any closer. So we're meeting the same intent of the variance, but we shifted it about 42.5 feet to the west along the frontage. So it's not any closer to the road than it was, but because we shifted it and it's not as exactly as it was depicted on the survey, that was how the variance was approved, and that's why I'm back here to request a new variance for the new sign location, which is 42 feet to the west, as shown in the site plan that was included in the packet. And I've got that here if you'd like me to show it. I'm here for any questions.
Again, you're right, arise in District 2. Just making sure I'm doing this right. Okay. My only question is more half question, half statement, and that is that we have done, as you said, multiple variances along that stretch of road. It is a very, very wide shoulder, and we never found a objection to putting the signs out a little bit closer to the road and to the property lines and right-of-way line. So this, the question, just to make it a question, is this is a similar situation, correct?
Yes, sir, and it will align with the other signs that are along this frontage there for the gas station next door, the Wawa, the Christian Brothers, the Chipotle, the other parcel that we haven't leased yet, that's vacant right now, and then the car wash that will be next door as well. So all those signs will be at the same distance from the road there, which you mentioned is a very wide right-of-way and a large landscape buffer there.
Okay. That's all my questions. Does anyone else have questions for this applicant?
No.
No.
Okay. I'm hesitant to even say this since there's nobody else in the audience, but is there anyone here to speak for or against the applicant? Seeing none, do you have any final words?
No, I don't.
Yeah, thank you. This is, I got to read my notes here, District 2. This is District 2. The board member is not here today. I cannot make a motion as chairman, so would someone make a motion to approve or disapprove this application?
I make a motion to approve the variance as depicted on the survey, provided by the applicant with the revision date of 4/29/23.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Ms. Millard has made the motion to approve. Dr. Bass has seconded. Any board discussion?
None.
No.
Okay, then I will read in the 6 hardship questions. That special conditions and circumstances exist which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the applicable zoning classification, that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, that granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the provisions of this chapter to the other lands, buildings, or structures in the identical zoning classification, that in literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the identical zoning classification under the provisions of this chapter, and will constitute unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant, that the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, and that granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter, and that such use variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. We have a motion. We have read in the hardship. Questions? Call the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to approve the application passes. And having no other known applications, I call adjournment to this meeting of July 24th.
It's all
The opinions
parenthetical,
expressed by
you
any
know?
member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.